Hi.
Now they
Hey,
can hear
everyone.
me. Hi, guys.
Welcome.
Hello, chat. It's muted. Is it muted now?
Welcome to the portion of the stream where we answer questions.
This is the Q&A segment, otherwise, aka the troubleshooting portion of the show. So if we have any problems, we're gonna find out now. My name is Alec and Stuff. Direct all of your complaints to Alec and Stuff.
Yeah.
Hi. So again, this is before we start the show. I like to do a little Q&A session with chat. So definitely take this time to ask either of us any of your questions. It can be related to the topic. It can be something completely different. But I figured this is a nice way. Again, it helps me get set up before the show because I don't have any time anymore left in my life. And B,
understandable.
It gets everybody warmed up. I think it's a nice warm-up session. So feel free to ask your questions. And while you're asking your questions, I'm going to try to make sure that our lovely chat pop-up is still working. So let me actually do that. So I'm going to pop out chat.
Hello, MG 1998 iffy. Hello, Joker.
Joker?
Ear Joker.
Is it like ear?
Well, it's EER.
Oh, Air Joker?
Air
Joker?
What's up?
The screen looks a bit weird. Don't you worry about the screen. The screen's gonna get fixed. All right, does this work? Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy.
We are open books for questions.
Yes, please ask us any questions that you have.
I will answer a question. Any question.
Any question you have.
Pretty much. There's like one topic I probably wouldn't talk about on stream.
It's probably one. I mean, there's
Maybe
a few.
Two.
What are my bowel movements like?
I mean, listen, if you ask, I mean, I'm not going to not tell you.
If you ask, if you bully me, I will come.
Be careful what you ask because Josh will answer in full detail.
Yeah, be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for, chat.
I'm like a genie. You get 3 questions.
Nick asks, Josh, are you going to ensure I don't ice bucket you in a couple weeks?
Oh my god, it's going to be close. So I'm doing daily content right now, and if I miss a stream, and it might be today because I haven't streamed yet today.
This counts. This counts as a stream.
I was going to say, technically you're on the clock.
Can I count this?
Yes, absolutely.
I would say
this is content.
This is content.
All right, listen,
I'm gonna link it to your Discord.
I'm gonna pull this exact clip and put it in a vlog so that I can have like forever proof that I streamed today.
We are giving you the proof. This is your content today.
Yes.
It's your content for today. All right, let's replace your name. You are Joshua Jepson.
You're not Forrest Minish.
Not today, he's not.
I'm not.
And then we're going to replace Alec and Stuff with Forrest Minish.
Cool.
Great people all around. I love a good loophole.
Gray people.
Gray people.
I was going to say, there's worse people to be than Alec and Stuff. I like him. He's cool.
Yeah, Alec is chill.
He's a good guy. I think he's actually going to be doing a Tears of the Kingdom, End to Tears King podcast this Saturday.
Ooh.
So if you want to listen to some first impressions on how people, oh god, OBS, don't do this.
So Nick, do you have like a better question than the ice bucket? I don't want you. That was a valid
question.
I don't want you to dump an ice bucket on me if that's what you're asking. No, I don't. I might do it for the content. We'll see.
The content.
If I don't miss a day, I'll reward myself with an ice bucket challenge, I guess.
If I don't miss a day, you should reward yourself with ice cream challenge, where you just eat ice cream at a leisurely pace, and then you've had ice cream. That's what I suggest.
We're going to need a lot more lactate.
I don't care. I don't really have any questions I don't know the answer to. Oh, God. How much does Nick know you?
I mean, I don't know. Probably not as well as he thinks he does.
Yeah, ask a question, damn it, Nick.
I sent my friend your tweet linking to the stream, and he said thank you for representing mentally unstable people.
Hey, that's me.
Ta-da! Faith asks, "Hey Josh, I just got Tears of the Kingdom and I'm having a lot of fun. Just wanted to ask, what do you think of the game so far?"
Just me? All right.
I mean, I'll
take the floor.
Everybody's gonna answer this question.
It has become my favorite game of all time, and I'm only 13 hours deep. But I mean, Banjo-Kazooie has been my favorite game since I was a child, and it like somehow managed to even beat out Breath of the Wild somehow. And I just love, I just live in that world. But Tears of the Kingdom does a lot of things exactly the way that I like them, and it hits all of the boxes. It checks all of the boxes for me. Like there's creativity. I get to build something. Exploration. I get like a Zelda game. I mean, who doesn't love every Zelda game? So it's perfect in my eyes.
Equally, because I know some bad Zelda games I wouldn't play again.
Well,
even bad Zelda games are better than most other video games.
It's true. I did play Triforce Heroes, and it was very fun.
Triforce Heroes is fun. I feel like Triforce Heroes gets a semi-bad rap. Not that I'm like gonna go out of my way to play it all of a sudden, but like
it's fun with the right people.
Yes.
It's fun with the right people. And I played with Tom and John. So like it doesn't get much more right than Tom and John and Josh playing Zelda.
Tom and John and Josh.
We were the three, because we all have an O in our name. We were the three Aws. That wasn't a running joke for that Let's Play or whatever. It was very fun. I wouldn't have played it on my own. It was really good.
Nice.
But yeah, anyway, Tears of the Kingdom is amazing. Play it. Everybody play it. I want to play more of it.
I think everybody is playing it. Did you see how much it sold in the first weekend?
Insane. It was 10 million copies or more in the first weekend.
First 3 days.
Yeah,
first 3 days.
It went insano style
for every Korok.
10 million. Is there something you are missing in the game, such as the bomb module? I kind of miss it, not gonna lie.
I actually prefer the way bombs are now. Is that bad to say?
No, I agree. I like the way the bombs are now. It feels more like the way bombs were in Zelda, because you have like a limited amount of them, and also there's a lot of things that explode anyway.
I mean, shit blows up. Yeah.
And also the idea of like rock sword.
Honestly, yeah, I
I
do enjoy rock sword. What I actually like to do is the rock shield, because then I can just tap A and then I get my thingies, my emotional validation.
Have you considered minecart sword and minecart shield?
I haven't tried minecart sword.
What? I didn't even know about that.
Minecart shield, sure. Because then it's a skateboard.
Yeah, you're giving me
Ooh,
unbridled amounts of knowledge that I probably shouldn't have.
No, this is great. This is great.
No,
that was the first thing I did when I saw a minecart. That's the first thing I fused the minecart to with my shield.
I didn't try that.
I never thought of that. Cryonisis is very missed, says Jeremy.
Yeah, I would say that's the one I missed the most, because Magnesis is kind of the same thing as Ultra Hand. And I mean, what were the other ones?
You had Stasis. Stasis was like everyone's favorite, and I kind of understand.
Recall is better. I like Recall.
Recall is so cool.
I kind of understand why they would have gotten rid of Stasis, because I think they didn't want the game to be like super ultra busted.
The game is super ultra busted with Recall. You can use
Recall is just as busted. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, honestly, the game is more busted than it's ever been.
And like the fact that they released this game that is so like busted that you can pretty much do endless combinations of things, and there aren't really any, at least that I've experienced, major glitches or like clipping through walls or like, unintended effects, is amazing.
And I throw out some Tears of the Kingdom knowledge. I haven't tried this myself, but I've seen a clip.
Yes.
I don't want to like spoil the game for people who don't play it.
It's a mechanic, not a story spoiler, right?
Yeah. So if you're missing Cryonis, you can fuse ice to your sword, and create blocks of ice in the water.
Oh shit! So they just took it out because there was another way to do it.
Yes.
Very
It's
nice.
not the same, like it creates like flatter platforms, which is honestly easier to climb on than the tall ones.
Yeah.
But
I'll have to try that.
it's like an alternate way if you want to get across a body of water.
I'll have to try that. Shit.
Good to know. Good to know.
And there's so many things like that that we're going to be discovering for like the next year at least.
That's
yeah.
true. I mean, people were still discovering stuff like in Breath of the Wild maybe a couple months ago.
I only just learned, like maybe 3 weeks ago, that in Breath of the Wild, if you see like a flock of birds circling around a thing, that usually means that there's a shrine that you haven't seen there.
I did know that.
I didn't know that.
I just forgot it.
Of course, I went there once, and it was where what's the Lon Lon Ranch? It was where the Lon Lon Ranch ruins were, and there wasn't a shrine there. So I don't know what that meant. Maybe it was tricking me into going to a guardian.
Maybe it meant there was like some kind of treasure there, or something to discover.
Yeah, which there was. I think.
So if you
Korok, that treasure
is that well, I mean, one man's trash. So if you guys are
golden poop,
one man's
another
golden
man's
poop.
treasure.
If y'all are just joining us, we are working on doing a Q&A session right now. So if you want to ask our guests anything, I mean, I guess you can ask me something. You probably don't know anything about me. I think we're just meeting for the first time. So
Can I ask you a question?
yeah, what's up?
How you doing?
Oh boy, I'm tired.
Hesitation.
How do I answer
Sorry, I
that?
didn't realize how loaded of a question that might have been.
I'm about to open some stuff up, I swear.
Listen, this is, we're in Mental Health Awareness Month.
Sure are. Damn it, Chris asked, what's the Starbucks order of the day? Today was a Peppy Mochi, my peppermint mocha, because I deserve it.
Yes, you do.
When was the last time I ordered a Starbucks?
One Starbucks, please.
I mean, I lived in Washington State for 10 years. I had many a Starbucks.
The Starbucks capital of the world.
True. I've been to the first Starbucks.
Oh yeah, a friend of mine went to the first Starbucks.
It's next to the Pike Place, or it's in the Pike Place Market in Seattle.
Right. That's why they call it, that's why they call their signature roast the Pikes. I think that's just called Pike's Place.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Yes. The Laughingboy knew a thing. Hold on. I just realized that I had an error on my stuff.
Nick with the hot audio tips. Love to see it.
What is the
Thanks,
hot
Nick.
audio tip?
Your guest could be a tad louder.
My guess could be a tad louder. All right.
I could yell.
Try now.
Would that fix it?
Would that-
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Josh Jepson.
Hi. I'm Laughing Boy LP.
Wow.
I don't know why I made you sound like that.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what that voice is.
Wow, Laughing Boy LP.
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
He says it's better.
Nice.
Now I don't know what to ask. I mean, you can ask us anything. You can ask how Josh's day went. No?
I'm going to wait until someone asks, and then I will answer it.
Yeah, only when chat asks.
Josh,
Only
how was your day?
Thank you, Rebecca. I was pretty good. I slept in, and which is always good. And then I went to a cookout for the last few hours.
Ooh, fun.
I have my friends were cooking some Wisconsin bratwurst and making fried cheese curds.
Oh, that
So-
sounds good.
It was a good time.
There's new Futurama this summer?
Yes.
Wait, what?
Yes. I'm very excited about it.
What?
Oh, yes,
I
that's
actually
Nick's
did-
question.
I haven't actually seen the last couple seasons of Futurama, but I started watching the whole thing and watched the first 6 seasons, and then I just haven't finished it.
I think
It's
it's
so
coming
good.
back June? June
July
24th?
24th.
July
was the-
24th. Okay.
Yo, how wasn't your day? It wasn't bad.
Thank you, Colton.
Thanks, Colton. How was the weekend? Rebecca, how was your weekend?
I had the best weekend of my entire life because not only did a new game in my favorite video game series come out, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, in case you didn't know, I also went to go see Taylor Swift in concert.
That's
and it was so
right.
much fun. And I cried, and I got friendship bracelets from other fans, and I got to see her in the flesh. And she sang
Yay.
songs, and I went on Mother's Day with my mom,
Aw.
and it was really fun.
Yeah.
It was like the best ever.
It's like the perfect weekend.
Yeah. My two favorite things, Zelda and Taylor Swift, in one weekend.
In one room together? Could you
Localized
imagine?
entirely within this.
Yes. Can I see it? No.
It's Thursday. Wait a minute. What?
It
Today.
is Thursday, my dudes.
It's Thursday? You don't say.
Say it ain't so.
Say it ain't so.
Yeah,
Whoa,
I have
whoa.
like been very off social media and like quiet and recovering from this weekend because I'm a very introverted person who has a smaller than normal amount of social energy. And so I spend all of my social energy in one weekend and
Yeah.
now I'm dead. So this is like,
God, I fully get that.
yeah. So I like
fully
drop off the
understand that.
face of the earth after a big social event.
Understandable.
You gotta recharge
Yeah.
them batteries.
I am kind of the same way, although I have built up a sort of tolerance in a way more recently. Because for like a decade, I had 0 local friends, so there was no outside of the internet socializing. And now suddenly I have all of the local friends now that I've moved here. So I'm like,
Oh
it's
yeah.
just there's nonstop social events,
Would die.
which is like fine, but also then I have to go collapse.
I mean, didn't you like just recently rebuild parts of your streaming room?
Yeah, it's still being worked on. It's like happening behind me actually, which is why everything's torn down and there's boxes in the corner.
You gotta rep the Elgato brand.
Yeah, well, hey, it's sponsored by.
Sponsored by. I wish. Not this podcast. Not today.
It could happen.
It could happen. You talk to the right people. Let's see. We are. How long is this streaming going? What? Where did
Time.
my stream timer go?
25 minutes
25 minutes?
ish.
I mean, I'll take that. Let's keep asking a couple more questions, and then we'll get started with today's episode. He said to try to buy some additional time.
I'm an introvert too. I feel you guys completely. I really do need to recharge and be away from people to recover. Yeah, like it's that's what it is. That's what. Because see, like a lot of people get it confused. I think because like being introverted doesn't necessarily mean you are averse to social activity. It just means that you need to go and spend some alone time to recharge for that next social activity, as opposed to an extrovert who recharges from social activity.
Yeah, it's like it's not. It doesn't mean antisocial.
Right.
I need more zone I charge and
That's right.
Yeah.
social energy meter.
That's
How
right.
are you feeling today, Rebecca?
I'm feeling better today. Today was a challenging day at work, so I went home and I took a nap. My sleep schedule has been so messed up, but that's okay. I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Oh, we will.
There's one thing I know is that I don't have one of those.
These bags under my eyes didn't make themselves.
Yeah, that doesn't happen by accident, I'll tell you what. All right. Chat, how we doing? Where are we? I'm an introvert too. I feel you guys completely. I really do need to recharge and be away from people to recover. Like the way that I see it is I'll get done and I have to work, in which sometimes my work is either I'm in 0 meetings or sometimes my work I'm in like 7 meetings. And lately it's been like in an 8-hour day, I'm probably spending 5 of them in meetings at this. No, actually, I'm spending like 7 of them. Like I usually only get like an hour rest. So by the time I'm done with like even just like the second meeting of my day, I just am like, and I have to take a nap. Like I can't.
That's a lot of meetings.
It is a lot.
Yeah, My job sucks. What can I tell you?
Yeah, unnecessary evil.
And
But
potentially part of that conversation that we'll
yeah,
probably be having in about a couple minutes. MG says it's quite normal when you feel mentally very tired. It's always good to rest and be alone for a bit to recharge. Yep, exactly. Like I
I've
said,
kind of been doing a little bit of that this week, actually. Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I just kind of like vegged out for a while and took lots of naps and tried to recharge. Not even just my social battery, but just my energy in general.
yeah. I mean, it's just yeah, it's so interesting because I never thought that I was introverted until like one of my friends was kind of like, "Yeah, you're just introverted, that's all." And I was like, what does that mean?" Because I did just think I was antisocial for a while. Like I honestly just believed I was antisocial. And it
You are
really
definitely not antisocial, Andrew.
Some of the
it's
most introverted people I've ever met are extremely social in bursts.
it also depends on who you're talking to. Um I find that my social battery gets depleted more when I'm talking to people that like I don't know what to talk about, or I am not good at small talk. And when I say that, I mean like I can ask you guys like, "Oh, what have you been up to?" because I know the answer is going to be like something where I can kind of like bounce off of that. But
Yeah.
if I'm talking to just a coworker, like I remember sitting during a happy hour and everyone was talking about all these like lavish trips that they'd been on. And I'm sitting here going like, that's not me. Like this is like a conversation I don't want to be in because you're talking about like, oh, the wife and I just went to Aruba the last weekend and we had such a great time. And I'm kind of like, that's a place I've heard about. And I just don't really like do those things personally. So
Don't know
it's
what to ask, don't know how to react when like they tell you like just very mundane things. It's
when
small
it's
things
also
matter.
like it sucks to say it this way, but there are things where I'm just kind of like, do I care? And if there's a subject that I don't really care about, then it's hard for me to talk. And there are so many situations where my fiance is part of a sorority, but when she was active, I would go with her to these events, and she did like the worst thing you could possibly do, and she was just like, "All right, I'm gonna go say bye to everyone," and then she
And
just
leave me
left me
standing
at a
there.
table, usually for like 20 minutes, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm kind of like, I don't, I don't know what to do. Like I don't know what to talk about, and these are
Yeah,
just people I
that's
just
tough.
don't know.
That's definitely me.
I try to, whenever I get into a situation like that, I just try to like somehow relate whatever it is that they're saying to something that I've experienced, because
Yeah.
it's like that's the only way to sort of enter the conversation. The problem really comes in when they fire back with just another thing that you don't have any idea what to talk about, and you're like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna sit here awkwardly.
I just usually have the problem of like I either don't like talking about myself or I
Yeah.
don't have anything interesting about myself to relate it to.
Exactly. That's like another part of it for me where I'm just
It
kind
can
of
be
like,
really tough.
you just kind of assume people don't want to hear about it. Like,
I hate talking about myself.
I I feel like I don't do it, and then maybe this is part. Maybe we should just get into the episode. Part of it is like I don't do it, and then I wonder why people don't know much about me. You know what I mean? So you just kind of sit there and go like, do I really make any valid connections? Or why does it take me so long? Because I just know people that are really just, they're so easy to like just get into a friend group and they almost immediately fit in. And everyone is just kind of like, oh man, this guy is awesome and amazing. And I can take like 5 years to like get to that same place.
Yeah.
So, I think especially nowadays because we're all so distant, a lot of my friends are online and a
Hmm.
lot of like other people's friends are close by. And I'm at an age now where like I definitely have close by friends, but more and more I'm having more far away friends. So I'm just kind of like, I don't, not a lot of social gathering experience for me. And this is like the most social interactions that I enjoy doing that I get is doing these like podcasts and like scheduling things out with friends. Like I'm at that age where now I have to like schedule stuff. It's like we're not just hanging out, you know, it's different. We have to each like, all right, Saturday, Sunday, we can do it once a week. That's what the streams are for. So.
Yeah, that reality really set in my mid-20s, and I was like, now in order to talk to the people that I used to like just play 8 hours a day on Halo with in my teenage years, you have to set aside a time to do that now, and it's like, this is an hour, we have to chat.
Well, like,
so,
I don't want people to think that, you know, oh, I don't, if I cared, then we would just hang out at any point, and I would just always ask, like, hey, do you want to hang out right now? But the fact of the matter is that, like, I don't really have that kind of time, and if we don't, like, I do the streams with my friends once a week on Saturdays so that there's a time, because I feel like, yeah, otherwise it's kind of hard to just hang out. This is a way, it's kind of like a cheat where I get to hang out with my friends and we get to do it once a week and it's on the calendar.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's a good way to do it. Like I've been kind of doing the same thing for some years now. Like I said, I lived away from literally everyone for a decade, and so that was all of my interactions for a while. And it's very different.
Yeah.
To go from that immediately into like a bunch of full social life in person. It's extremely draining.
I mean, on the one hand, I'm glad that like you have people close by, right? But on the other hand, I totally get that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started with the episode. What we're going to do is we're going to go on a quick break. And during that break, we're going to go ahead and get our audio recording set up for the audio version of this podcast. When we come back, we will get started with the actual show. So I will see. We're going to be right back in a couple of minutes, maybe less than that. And just sit tight. And we'll get started with our episode. God, my stream deck's not configured right now, so be right back. Hell, did it work? It worked! It worked, chat. And, you know, to our audio listeners, just know that it worked. That's all you really need to know at this point.
The technology has not failed us this day.
I mean, just give it a minute. Welcome, everybody, to another fantastic episode 42 of DialogBOX. I'm your host, Laughingboy, and I am joined by two very lovely guests. First off, we have content creator and streamer, Josh Jepson. Hello.
Yo! Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me again.
And physically above him, we have... I need to be more careful with the things that I say.
Hi.
She writes for Twinfinite. She is also a content creator and streamer. Forrest Minish is here.
Hello. Glad to be here again.
Well, at least the stream didn't blow up. I only have myself to blame for that one.
Andrew, I love you, buddy.
I've said worse. Well, no, actually, that was pretty bad. That ranks up there. That ranks up there.
We're about to talk about mental health. I'm sure it's gonna get
deep.
It's gonna get so deep. Okay.
From the heart.
Oh, right, from the heart. Deep from the heart.
Off to a good start, guys.
Yeah, no, I think this has been going great so far.
Andrew, I love you, buddy.
How you guys doing? How's everybody doing?
How's everybody doing?
Yeah,
I'm doing all right.
Yeah. How are you doing? Rebecca.
Tired, but I'm here. And I'm excited to talk.
And sorry, I interrupted you, Josh. What were you gonna say?
Oh, nothing.
Well, I hope you say something, because over the next hour and a half, we're going to be talking about a great topic. This is actually an episode I wanted to do for quite some time because mental health is very important to me, and it is something that I feel like we don't talk about enough. And before we get started on everything, I just want to thank you two for being here, because I know that this could touch onto some uncomfy things that not a lot of people just feel comfortable or right off the bat just going to town on that topic. So I just want to thank you guys for being here. It does mean a lot to me that we're all here and we're gonna have this circle time.
Of course, Andrew.
I feel like sometimes these hard topics are important to talk about because a lot of people relate to it and experience the same things, but they don't realize that other people go through the same things or feel the same way until somebody talks about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like I mean, not to like start off on like the deepest, darkest, hardest note ever of the podcast, but I went through kind of a wild time in 2020 and ended up making a video about it. I experienced a psychosis, which is a lot, and it was very traumatic and difficult, and I was in the hospital for 3 weeks. And then after that was all said and done and things started to get back to normal again, and I was comfortable, like realizing that I would be back to normal. That was the other thing. I was very worried through the whole process that I wouldn't be. I was like, I should make a video and just like say, hey, like people go through these experiences and you're not alone. Like it's something that a lot of people have dealt with before.
Yeah.
And I think that, and I got a lot of comments from people on that video that were just like, saying like, wow, this is like, and I didn't even think about it at the time as this, but like people were like, wow, this is like a kind of a brave thing to do, to put yourself out there like that. And I was like, I just want to talk about it so that other people know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to talk about anything.
And I'm glad you're here to talk about it, obviously. Before we go ahead and get started, I do have some housekeeping to do. Housekeeping. I should see. I need to get like more audio things. Just have housekeeping. Just go into it. But hello, chat. In case you're new to the show, this is DialogBOX, and it is a monthly podcast where I grab all of the people that you love to watch and force them to talk to me about video games and content creative related activities for an hour. Usually, a little bit longer than that these days. But if you can watch the show live with video over at youtube.com/laughingboylp, and even join in the conversation with our live chat. You can even get the audio only version by going over to Spotify, your favorite podcasting service, and search for DialogBOX, all one word, DialogBOX. It's like what, 6 letters, something like that, 7. Who knows? Probably more. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel and check out the live streams where you can join in chat during the show, as well as our Q&A sessions exclusive to the streams. If you want to help financially support the channel, you can submit super chat messages, as well as become a member of the channel where you can use some awesome and exclusive emotes. We've got at least one member who's using these emotes. He's lurking right now, but I know he's there.
Oh, I called him out.
Get called out, Kyle.
Get called out.
I love the Fweet. That's my favorite one.
Fweet is amazing. Massey really knocked it out of the park with that one. Right. I mean, I like the Splat Rip too. She made that one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my effing chat, in case you're wondering. If you're not able to provide any financial support, that is a-okay. Just seeing your lovely faces in chat or just lurking brings a tear to my eye. Makes my heart grow 3 sizes. But there are plenty of other ways that you can help the channel grow.
Doctor.
Oh. Well, it's because it grows and it gets, smaller. So it's just like
right, because that's what it does.
Exactly.
That's literally what it does.
Hearts hearts do that.
To, like, pump that blood.
Pump that blood.
Anyway, sorry.
There are other ways to help support the channel if you like. If you help, you can like the video and help let us know by what you did like about the video. Colton gets it. Colton understands.
If you're watching live, you can like the video right now.
I just did it.
Oh my god, it's so easy.
If I can do it, anyone can do it.
It's so easy and free. If you can also leave us a little comment letting us know what you think about the show. You can also rate the podcast, the audio version, by going to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever your favorite podcasting service that lets you vote for things. You can give us a good rating and leave some feedback. Finally, you can also join the Discord community or follow me on Twitter at LaughingBoyLP, where you can be kept up to date with new streams and video releases. Any likes or signal boosting you can provide there would be greatly appreciated. I gave it a like before you suggested because you're just... Look at that, the Zebga. What
He's in there.
Chad. Look at this guy. It's so easy a caveman can do it. Kyle, you know how to get to me with nostalgia. This guy knows. All right, so with that out of the way, housekeeping, the house has been kept. Let's go ahead and move on to our topic. We kind of already got started a little bit, but content creation.
Yeah, I jumped the gun a little bit. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Technically, what I try to do is, I leave a little bit of time for some, small talk, which I'm very bad at, and then we move on to housekeeping, and then we actually start the show. So, absolutely no problem. The topic of our show, it is Mental Health Awareness Month in the month of May. If you're listening to this in June, it is no longer Mental Health Awareness Month. But if you're listening to this right now, actually, that still doesn't work. If you're listening to this in May, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. And I wanted to, again, talk about this topic because it's not like I'm really like an advocate or anything, but I basically... when I've done, so I do another podcast you may have heard of called Let's Talk. And I've had a couple of people on that show. And I think one of the things that I had a lot of off the cuff conversations with a lot of the guests on that show. And you realize that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than you would obviously think. And a lot of that is pretty obvious, but a lot of that isn't. And at least at the time that I started the show, people didn't really talk about it too much, and for good reason. Like, you don't feel like you could, or it's your personal business, and but there was just a lot to that I realized that was going on with content creation and being a creator to a degree myself. There were a lot of things that I kind of understood and realized just going through the process. And so I wanted to talk a bit about our experiences with content creation, because we all come from different, I would be considered like a small streamer, small YouTuber. Josh, you've been doing this for a really long time. And Forrest Mitch, Rebecca, like you do a lot of social media, you do a lot of streaming, and you also write for a publication, and technically you are creating content for that as well. So I think
and I podcast.
And you podcast. She does. And we can, you can. What's the podcast you want to talk about right now?
Oh, it's the Nintendo Shack podcast we record on Sunday mornings.
Usually when I'm still asleep. I've been trying to hop on, but then I'll get up and it's like 11:30 and I see the tweet and I'm just like, oh, I missed it.
It's okay.
Yeah. I mean,
it gets me up. I would
right?
sleep otherwise.
You gotta have something sometimes. But yeah, I really wanted to have a conversation with some friends in a comfortable space, a safe space. Get the cat. Yeah.
I just have this Cubone.
Emotional support Cubone.
This is my emotional support Cubone.
Here we go. There we go. This is my emotional support Chain Chomp.
Oh, that's a large boy.
He's a big boy. But I think one of the things I really wanted to talk about was really when it comes to content creation, I think the number one problem that we face is burnout and what that looks like. And some of the things that I've heard other creators say was just like super revelatory and insane to kind of think about. But I kind of wanted to ask, like, so what does a day in y'all's life look like? Are you full-time streamers, part-time streamers? Is there anything else going on in your life that can attribute to, like, what does your schedule look like
You can start, Josh.
So I am a full-time streamer, content creator, and I have been for pretty much the last 13 years. And that hasn't always been viable, we'll say. That hasn't always been viable. What was the other part of the question?
So I guess it's sort of like it's kind of like saying a day in the life, right?
Oh, right.
And how how can that contribute to that burnout sensation?
Well, right now I've decided that I'm doing this thing where I'm vlogging and streaming every single day in the month of May, and that is far too much for me. But I'm doing it as a way to sort of push myself, put in a little extra effort, and almost use it as a bit of a distraction from some other stuff. And I wouldn't say that's the healthy approach. I think that you need to really manage your own abilities a little bit to you don't want to push past your limits.
Right.
And I'm certainly doing that, but it's on purpose with safeties in place to make sure that I don't completely burnt out. But I actually did burn out this week. I completely did. Monday, gone. Tuesday, gone. Wednesday, I was still feeling it. So, I mean, I still pushed through and I did the thing that I set out to do, but I did absolutely burn out. And what that looked like for me was sleeping a lot during the day for long hours and then not being able to sleep at night and basically flipping my whole sleep schedule. And it's just not a great place to be. And if you're doing other things with your life, then what I'm currently doing is not sustainable. For some people it is, if they hire an editor or whatever, but I've never really been in the position to be able to do that, despite the fact that I've been doing this full time for 13 years. So a day in the life for me is get up in the morning, figure out, if I can get up in the morning, figure out whatever it is that I'm streaming that day, and then just sort of work my way up to that. And in that time, I am very loose with my schedule, and I don't try to push myself onto any particular schedule. I very much have the ADHD brain. In fact, actually, I didn't take my medication today, so I'm a little all over the place.
Go take your medication.
I'm gonna do that as soon as Rebecca starts talking, which is now.
Right now.
I'll be right back.
All right. So
yeah,
what does that look like for you, Rebecca?
It's pretty different for me because I don't do this full time. I don't do any of it full time. I started streaming as a hobby during the pandemic. I have a full-time job outside of content creation that eats up, most of my time during the day. So all of the other stuff is on the side. So a normal day is I am actually a school counselor. I work at an elementary school. And so that is an 8 to 5 job. Usually I get home around 5 o'clock at night. And that's obviously every day during the week. So I try to do any kind of content around that full-time job. And as you know, content creation can be a full-time job on its own. So it's really tricky to manage that time, especially when I'm doing streaming. Podcasting is only once a week. I try to do streaming on the weekends because I'm usually too tired in the evening from work. And then I write for Twinfinite, so I do that in kind of the cracks there. And then just trying to keep up with friends and take care of my kitty cat. It's a lot sometimes. Because I want to do everything, but you can't do everything.
It's hard to do everything. It's so hard to do everything.
But I want to, and I have to realize sometimes that I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Look at his face.
Oh, he's so seepy.
I wanted to add on to what I was saying earlier, which was so my daily stuff. So I have the vlog and I have my stream, but I also try to do gameplay, let's play type content on my main channel, which is less frequent, but it's still there and it exists. And the thing, a lot of what people see is not even half of what you're actually doing.
Yeah.
Because then you go on to, let's say I finish my stream. Well, the next 3 hours is spent cutting breaks out of the VOD and exporting the VOD, which takes an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on how long that stream is, and then uploading that and making a thumbnail and doing all the metadata and scheduling the tweet for the next day. And like, next day it comes along and like I'm tweeting to like keep engaged with people. And there's a lot of extra steps beyond just making the stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, that's more than what you see like on the outside, because I really only stream like 2 or so, like 1 or 2 times a week during the school year. But you're right, like I have to do all the planning and setting up like the tech stuff beforehand, and for the podcast, like it's not just the hour and a half show. Like we write the notes, and then like it's a lot behind the scenes sometimes. And then like for my streams, if I'm collaborating with people, like bringing people on the stream, like that's a whole other thing. So there is a lot behind the scenes too that you don't see.
Absolutely. Like designing a stream layout even.
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
And then like alternating that, or not alternating. What am I trying to say? What's the word I'm looking for there? Altering it.
Yeah.
Similar word.
I feel called out because I'm doing that right now during the stream.
I mean, sometimes you gotta though. I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar for me. Like I have a 9 to 5. Luckily I work from home, right? But even then, I'm just so tired from my job that I then have to, in most cases, I have to figure out how to plan and structure every little thing that you don't see on the streams, and sometimes you just don't have time. And I've noticed that a lot with the DialogBOX streams, where I'm just kind of like flying by the seat of my pants, where if I'm like, oh, I have to make a new layout and I have to make a layout for these people, like this amount of people, then I have to go and create that in Photoshop. I have to test it, make sure it all works. I have to make it work with Stream Deck so that you get the cool effects that the audio version never ever sees. But all of you guys that are watching on YouTube and like making these things work, and making sure that like we get to have cool interactive things. It's not even just about like the stream itself. It's trying to understand how to make like not a worthwhile stream. That's not the best way to say it. It's like how to innovate and create a stream where you can find your own success and make it so that like, if you want an active chat, or if you are fine with people lurking, it's a totally different structure depending on how you want to set your streams up. And that's totally, part of it is like doing that setup, and then part of it is just totally out of your control.
Yeah. I mean, especially like if tech goes awry, which happens
it often does.
Which it often does.
More than you think.
Every single content creator has experienced something breaking probably within the last week.
Things will break without you touching them. Like it'll work for one day, and then like you'll go to it a couple hours later and it just won't work for some reason.
Yeah, I've had so many instances where I would have a stream. My OBS setup is complicated. This shouldn't really work, but it does until it doesn't.
Together with string and duct tape.
Kinda. But then like if I don't stream for like a week and then I come back to OBS, I get like revenge of OBS, like it was neglected, and half the things just don't work. And it's like, I didn't touch anything in a whole week. Why are you busted? Like it doesn't make any sense. It didn't update. I didn't do a Windows update. Like I don't know why it's just suddenly broken.
That's the way it is.
So yeah,
it's wild.
Yeah, I think like the main point of this topic was like we don't it is more than you see, and what we do on a particular day is not like, some of us do full-time stream, and some of us just have things going on the side, especially to have some kind of sustainable life, just to meet your basic needs of food and shelter.
I did in 2015, content creation was not really working out for me at the time, and I was very not confident in it. And so I was like, I'm gonna, pull up my big boy pants and go get a real job. And I did that for like a little tiny bit, very short amount of time. And I was doing like sales. And I absolutely like it didn't work for me in any real way. And I couldn't, there wasn't even a moment to work on the creative stuff that I really wanted to do. And so like I fully understand not being able to do that. Like that changed my whole perspective on it, and that's really why I started taking it super seriously after that. Because it just wasn't going to work. And I can see why people would struggle a lot with the balance between their day job and trying to do streaming or content creation or YouTube or whatever they want to do on the side. Like that's just a lot to do.
It can be hard at times for sure.
Yeah. Sorry,
So-
I just had a weird tech issue. Just
Hey,
randomly popped
See,
up.
exactly. It can happen like out of nowhere.
suddenly.
I mean, the fact of the matter is that I did most of this setup within the last hour and a half. So, you can't expect perfection when you do that. But sometimes that's just the way it goes. So during one of my Let's Talk episodes, this one with Chugga Conroy, he said something that still resonates with me, and it was probably something that he had heard. Like, he didn't like invent this phrase, but he said something along the lines of like, YouTube doesn't give sick days.
Oh my God.
What does that mean to you? And like, what does that mean to you for starters?
That means if I get sick, oops, like I guess I lose out on ad revenue or Twitch subscriptions, and I am behind on my projections for that particular month. And then that's just what happens. Oh, well, I guess you need to make it up with either a longer stream or do something bigger somehow. And just kind of pulling that out of your ass is not easy. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's just it. Like, that's what that means to me. It means if I get sick, there's nothing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's far more difficult when it's like your entire income, right?
Yeah. It's kind of scary sometimes.
For me, there's definitely less at stake because it isn't my full-time job, but I feel like if I go too long without, pushing out streams or anything like that, like you're risking losing viewers, like regular viewers who show up, because there are people that want to tune in every time, they want to watch something, at this time every day. They might tune in regularly to your stream, but then if you're not there, and then they go somewhere else, and then all of a sudden, like, maybe you've lost those viewers if you do that too often, because you're not consistent, or you're not it's not what they expect. And so I feel like the more inconsistent you are, like if you take time off like that for being sick, or taking like a little hiatus or break or something for physical or mental health, like there's that risk of losing viewers, which, as Josh mentioned, could turn into revenue and like channel growth. So it can be hard. It's not very forgiving.
And it's especially like if you are trying to if you're in the place where you're trying to build an audience too, like you don't even quite have that consistent, like, this is the viewer that shows up every day. You're at the point where you're trying to like get that person, like, and you just you can't, like, if you take time away from it, it's stressful because of that. And I think that Twitch is especially bad for it. YouTube has some stuff in place where, like, if you haven't uploaded for a while, they will start pushing your older videos to people's recommended more often.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. This is like, I don't even know how recent this changes, but they've been doing it the last like year and a half or 2 years now. And I've noticed this purely because if I don't upload for like a week, I'll start seeing a lot more comments on super old videos again.
That is weird.
So that's pretty good, especially because like YouTube has been in the eye of like that problem for a while, where you feel like you have to consistently upload every day or you're going to lose your audience. And that was detrimental to people making short form content and people who are uploading once a month instead of every day or every week. And with the way that YouTube works now, if you don't upload for a couple of weeks, they're just going to get more of your other content in their recommended instead. So you're still going to get a lot of, new people getting on board, through your older stuff in that time. So that's good. But Twitch doesn't really, there's no way to do that, I think, for live content without VODs. And you're just going to put that on YouTube, or, you know, the VODs disappear after a month and a half. So, like, on Twitch at least. So
Yeah.
it's a lot harder with a live stream, I think. And I don't know what the answer is there, but.
Well, and I think there too, it was like, Twitch has like the reruns feature, which I think was like to try to mitigate, like, oh, I can't stream tonight because I'm, at a wedding, so I'm going to do a rerun of a previous stream that we did, and so you guys can watch that stream. And I never really understood how it worked, because I was never really like, I wasn't an affiliate by the time it had come around, so I didn't really see the use in it. But it is interesting. And that was, again, like what Rebecca was saying, is that like you don't really get a break, because if you take that break, then you run the risk of, like, for Josh, you run the risk of losing revenue. And for all of us, like, you run the risk of losing relevancy. When I was streaming to get affiliate, I think I was streaming maybe 3 or 4 days a week. And that was that was good to build that, like, that community for like a little bit. And so I thought, okay, I made affiliate, we're good. I'm going to try to relax a little bit. And I tried to only stream maybe like 2 times a week. And that hurts. It hurts, and it's so strange, because like you maybe stream like twice a week, and then suddenly people just kind of forget you were ever streaming at all. And that community that you built just is kind of like, oh, I thought you just quit. And it's like, what? No, I've been streaming this whole time. Like, you try to build that schedule and you try to build that consistency. But if you're not streaming multiple times and you're not doing it enough, then none of that ever matters.
Or if you switch schedules, like if you switch days or times or something like that, and like
switching schedules,
you
so
can do
hard.
everything like you can to put out the word that you're going to do that, but inevitably there's going to be people that don't see it, that don't hear about it, who can't tune in to the new day or time.
Yeah.
The
way that I've done it is by just slowly shifting a schedule, like in the same way that you would fix your sleep schedule. Like, just if you're streaming at 6 p.m., consistently for a while, and then you're like, well, that's not going to work because they changed my work hours at my day job, so now I have to stream later or something, and you just have to shift it back an hour. And sometimes it's not possible to do within the constraints that you have, but that's like the best way that I've seen, because then there's a little bit of crossover where people would show up at your normal time and be like, oh, they're not live yet, and then they might check back in an hour later and you're live, and then they can kind of figure it out and you can tell them there in person. But I mean, no matter what you do, like, it's hard to convey that information. I mean, a schedule, like a visual schedule, like on Twitter, helps a lot, but
there's going to be people that don't see it, or maybe they don't follow you on Twitter, or
they don't have Twitter at all, which I understand.
That is another thing. And maybe this goes into like one of the next topics, so maybe I'll open this can of worms up for a bit and then come back to it. But I think the one thing that has always just like almost shocked me is, and other content creators have talked about it pretty openly, but they're kind of like, all right, I used to do a lot of YouTube, and then I started doing a lot of Twitch, and I started doing more Twitch than YouTube, and people just never, even though like I upload VODs to another YouTube channel or something like that, or I'm very vocal about the transfer, people just don't make the connection. And so there's like one particular streamer who I would say probably streams like 10 times more than they ever upload videos to YouTube these days. And people just thought that they quit. Like, they just thought they dropped off the face of the earth. And it's like, no, I've been streaming for like 10 years very consistently. And they're very successful. Like, their numbers didn't like go down. It's just that there were people that watched this person religiously on YouTube and then just never made the transition. Like, they just never, and then sometimes they'll find them some other way, and they're just kind of like, oh, I didn't know you were on Twitch. And it's kind of like, it's not like how could you, but it is strange. Like it's just kind of a weird revelation that people just are either siloed in one specific area. I think another thing I noticed is like somebody that has like 300 followers on Twitter could have like maybe like 9,000 followers on Twitch. Like they just, the social media aspect, even though so many content creators like believe in this ecosystem of having to have a TikTok and a Twitter account and a YouTube and a Twitch, there are some people that just like don't need it because they've built that ecosystem already on one area and they're very successful there. And then you kind of look at the other places and you're just kind of like, you have these like assumptions that there are connections made when there really aren't. Like they could just be really good at Twitch and just really bad at Twitter.
Yeah, and getting that kind of crossover too is tough because you have to like figure out, you have to like come up with clever ways to cross your stream and your social media stuff. You know, a lot of people are posting like clips here and there on Twitter or like asking their Twitch chat to like retweet your going live tweet or something like that. That's what I do a lot. I do a lot of that. I'm just like, hey guys, you got Twitter, you just retweet the tweet that I made about my stream and get more people, you know, to come hang out. And I think that works. I mean, it definitely like there is that immediate like moment of engagement from just chat. But I mean, who knows if anybody clicks through at that point, but there was something else I was going to say, but I can't remember. So
that's okay.
I'm sure it'll come to me.
Yeah. I mean, that was just, it was that first part of it was just so interesting to me where it's just kind of, again, like if you don't constantly take care of every single piece, then you like in terms of this as a career, in terms of this as trying to see growth, there are just like these weird disconnects and you just kind of, you know, fans that have been a big part of your ecosystem for such a long time might just like drop off the face of the earth because they didn't make that transition with you. And I
remember what I was going to say.
Oh yeah.
So lately, since I've been doing this daily vlog again, which I used to do like back in like 2013, 2014, that kind of whatever time frame, I did a lot more vlogs and I gained an entire following of people who just watched the vlog stuff and none of the gaming stuff.
Yeah.
And now that I'm doing daily vlogs again, there are like so many people that are rediscovering the channel.
Oh yeah.
They're like, oh, I used to watch your vlogs in like 2014 and now you're doing it again and here I am. And then they would come over to the Twitch channel because maybe they've gained an interest in that over time.
Wow. I've
gotten so many people in the last like 3 weeks that were just like, I used to watch you forever ago and here I am again. And it's so like, I don't know what you can take from that.
there is a way.
But that's like, my experience.
Yeah.
I think you know, you can make every effort to switch platforms or draw people from one platform to another, but that doesn't necessarily mean that people will because they might prefer just watching one type of content or you know, preferring watching YouTube streams over Twitch streams, or maybe they only watch your TikTok content or something. Like that's some stuff that you really can't help, and I feel like it can be discouraging sometimes, like because I have a huge disconnect in my number of followers on like Twitter and everywhere else, and I would love the number of people who interact with my tweets to come tune into my Twitch streams, but I can make every effort in the world, but there's just nothing that would convince a large portion of these people to come watch my streams just because they don't want to, because they prefer my one type of content. And that can be hard when you put in a lot of effort to try to convince people to tune into another type of content that you make, and there's nothing you can do to interest them. And you have to learn to be okay with that.
Yeah, you just kind of have to accept the fact that that's going to be a thing.
Yeah, and I think that was like to that point, that second point I was talking about, where it's like you have like a certain number of people that are in this silo, and then only a certain fraction of those people are over there, and it can be very telling. Like it, and again, it's like if they only prefer to see your shit posting versus like your your Twitch streams, it can be kind of tough because like you want people to kind of come in and see everything. Like if you're trying to be an entertainer, like that's the big thing. You want to entertain people and you want that community to follow you in all these different ecosystems, but it can be tough.
And there's a branch to that, which is what happens when you get tired of doing one thing that people are watching and you want to do something different and change the way that you do things. Because that's scary. Because then you start doing this new thing and then suddenly nobody's watching it because it's just not their thing and you haven't built the audience for that thing yet. What do you do?
And I think to finish this conversation of burnout, I think my number one source is when you've spent so much time trying to do something and you're trying to do either something new or at least new to you, and you put that out there and then nothing happens, right? Like I put all of this effort into the stream layouts. I put all this effort into editing, and editing in particular is a full-time job practically. Just to edit like a 20-minute video, depending on how good you are at editing and how good you are at like keeping the viewer's attention through your editing and being able to make like a capturing stream or a capturing video. Doing all of that and then just kind of not getting anything or feeling like you didn't get that like return on investment through people viewing it. And it's an awful part to talk about. And again, we'll probably transition into the other topics I have through here, but you're not trying to like, I didn't do this to be famous. I did this to entertain and to do things and to talk about something I enjoy. And we have a platform for that. But when you don't get that like feedback and it gets lost in like the algorithmic sea, it can be very debilitating. And I think that's what burnout looks like for me, where it's just kind of like all that effort and you don't feel like you got that like appreciation, I guess, for that. And you just kind of are like tired after all that.
Well, you get like a dopamine hit from getting the number up.
True, too.
And that's like an important thing to realize, because then you can check yourself and be like, hey, like, it's not about the number. I made something fun that I enjoyed. And if it didn't get the traction that I was looking for, then what you can do is just make another thing.
Yeah.
And then you just keep doing that and you iterate and you change stuff and you tweak things. I mean, that's the entirety of everything that I've done for the last 10 years has been like an iteration on the last thing.
True.
It's kind of fascinating to go back and watch some of the older stuff, because like you can see where like my stream layout, for example, would look kind of similar to like 8 years ago. But so much has changed since then, but some things still kind of stay the same. And it's just like little things like that. And that's just a visual example, but like little things like that, iterating on the last thing and just seeing where that goes. And I think that's the only way to approach it. And yeah, and just not let that feeling of like I didn't quite get the number that I was looking for bother you to the point where you stop.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you stop, you can either continue to make something and it will or will not work, or you can stop and it definitely will not work.
True. And I feel like it can be really draining to be like tweaking it and working on it and improving on it. And then by the time like you actually do the thing, you're tired. And if it doesn't pay off, it's like, well, why did I just put in all of that effort?
Yeah.
Especially when you're doing other things, like if you're creating other kinds of content on top of that, or you have a job on top of that, it's like, well, I could have been using my time for something else. And I put in all this effort and it wasn't what I wanted or expected. And that I feel like is when the burnout happens, when like you put in that much effort and you put in that much time, and then by the time you actually like do the stream or create the video or whatever, you're tired.
Yeah.
It might not always have that payoff that you're expecting.
And the funny thing is too, sometimes the thing that you put less effort in tends to do better.
It's so true.
Like I have an exact like great example of something that I made very recently that I put just so many hours into, and that had just an absolute, it bombed so hard. So Tears of the Kingdom dropped recently. We love the game. I'm streaming it. It's a good time. So the first stream that I did, I was like, I'm gonna cut this into like a highlights thing and put it on YouTube, as you do, and make a fun little thumbnail or whatever. And I spent like 6 hours cutting down like I mean, it wasn't six. I don't know if it was 6 hours straight, but I was watching parts of it over and over again because it was just fun. Anyway, it was a really great, fun video, and barely anybody watched it comparatively to the rest of my stuff. And I had to stop myself from thinking like, oh, this is like I screwed up, because I didn't screw up. It was a great video, but Tears of the Kingdom is new. People don't want to be seeing all the new stuff without playing it themselves, or maybe they've already seen it because it's the beginning of the game and they don't want to see it again and again and again and again from 300 creators. And I knew this going into it, but the very beginning of the video was edited in such a way that was actually pretty slow in comparative to the rest of the video, which was really good, but the very beginning was slow. So I went into it with this mindset of like, okay, I know the things that I can tweak for the next one, and I'm willing to bet the next one will just do better because I know the things that I can tweak for that from that. And so I don't let it bother me that it got, half as many views or whatever as I normally get on that channel, because I know that the next thing can be better based on what I learned from that.
That's a good mindset, and I feel like that can help you not feel burnt out when you look at it that way. Instead of focusing on, oh man, this bombed, people don't like it, I put in all this effort.
Yeah.
I should just like not ever do this again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You're able to like take it and improve it and it just sounds like it could be motivating for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's, I mean, not to like, again, keep putting the spotlight on myself. I hate doing that, but like, that's why I'm doing this sort of test of endurance this month so I can learn how to manage burnout. And I've been doing an okay job of learning how to manage burnout.
I feel like for me, on the other hand, it's like I have all of these ideas and things that I want to do. And like, I have so many visions in my head of like content and just like things that I want to make happen, but either like I just don't have the time, or I don't like know how, or I wait too long and it's no longer relevant, and that's really frustrating for me too.
Yeah, that's an understandable frustration.
Because you can't do everything. You have to like pick what you feel like is going to be the best, the most successful, the most fun.
Yeah, no,
I've heard to know.
It's very understandable. Yeah, and I guess that's the mindset that I would like. That maybe I need to try to have, because it gets tough. What I also, speaking of releasing a video and getting feedback, I think the number one rule of YouTubing is don't look at the comments.
Could be.
I
actually very much don't agree with that. But I'd like to hear why you think so.
Well, I just said that to open up the floor. Now, so why I've heard this is obviously that feedback, and especially like depending on the app, like the place that you're releasing your content, that can either be a very like supportive, fun place to be around, or it could be an extremely like toxic, negative place to be around. And I think for the longest time, content creators have kind of like made this whole thing about how, YouTube comments can be extremely mean or extremely just negative in general. And so I really wanted to see what your experiences have been in terms of like, not just necessarily YouTube comments, but general feedback of the works that you make. Do you find that feedback to be coming from mostly a negative place in your experience? And how does that either contribute or deflate your mental health status?
So I used to get like really mad about like the YouTube comment stuff, and I would do the same thing where I just was like, nah, not even worth reading the comments. And people would say like, oh, this, this didn't work, or I didn't like this, or why did you change this thing? And it always bothered me for years and years and years and years. But at some point, I don't even know what the catalyst for this was, but like at some point I decided like, I'm just not going to let those specific comments bother me. And the ones that are the most valuable are the people who clearly have watched a lot of your stuff and have feedback that is constructive. And if the stuff that isn't constructive criticism is like just like eating at you, those are the ones you can ignore. I mean, you do have to see it, I guess, to then be like, oh, that's not for me. But I don't know. It's just a mindset shift.
There you go.
And yeah, that's my experience with it.
Rebecca, how about you?
I can't like relate too much with the YouTube comment thing because I don't really put out content on YouTube. I have heard that it can be very scary and that the YouTube comment section space is it can be like a battleground of people who will just say literally anything. Like you could put out a video that is, 40 minutes long and full of great stuff, and you've fact-checked everything, researched everything, you made some really funny jokes, but then like there will be like one thing that you got technically wrong, and like all the comments will be about that. And so while I haven't experienced that on YouTube, I have experienced that with like our podcast content. Like we do 1.5 shows, 2-hour shows, and sometimes that will happen where, it's a live show. I am not, a perfect encyclopedia of Nintendo knowledge, and I might say something that isn't totally correct or whatever. And, occasionally somebody will just like leave a comment on like the Twitter feed or something, like pointing it out, or, saying like, do you even know what you're talking about? Or, whatever those negative comments are. But overall, I would say like, I don't really get too many things like that. And I don't know if it's because like I mostly stream on Twitch and, I don't put out content on YouTube or anything like that. But I feel like maybe this is also just the size of my channel, but the audience that I cultivate is like a reflection of me. So like whatever I put out there, like, if I'm not being toxic, if I'm being wholesome, my audience is more likely to be, wholesome back. Like that's who I'm cultivating. If, I feel like if I released more controversial content or, was saying negative things about other people, like, they might be more likely to do that in my comments or in my space. And like, I don't put up with that. So anytime that like a new person comes in or, has something negative to say, or just like is not being a positive person, they either get set straight and learn very quickly, or they are not allowed to stay around at all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's a great way to approach it.
I think Twitch in particular, it's very easy to cultivate the community that you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can very easily get rid of like things that like don't go with the style of like streaming that you want to do. You can tag yourself as a particular streamer so that people who want to watch like a chill vibe or a chaotic vibe will search for those streams and find it. So I think Twitch, in my experience, Twitch has been, it's been good. I have heard and seen the bad. It has not particularly happened to me, but I do know that it exists. And I think it's the same for YouTube. Like, I've seen both sides. Like, in particular, I would say the comment section of a lot of my videos are very positive. A lot of the comment sections that, a lot of the comments that people leave, and I think what helps is, like, pinning a comment yourself and setting up the standard of, like, what did you think of, like, have you experienced burnout? And so you kind of direct the conversation.
Give a prompt. Yeah.
Exactly. To, like, not only try to encourage comments on the video, which obviously helps with like discoverability and stuff like that, but also to kind of keep the conversation in a certain direction and to try to mitigate in a way like people just going like, your hair looks stupid, and do you even know what you're talking about, stuff like that.
I feel like also, if you don't mind me jumping in, saying, I think that there is also a difference between comments during live content versus content that like you've posted, because I almost feel like if people are commenting on a live stream, they might not be as likely to say something negative because they know that the person can see them in real time and like respond to it in real time. Of course, there's going to be people who are trying to get a reaction out of people live. Like there's always going to be those people.
Oh, there's always that.
But I also feel like there is more of, if they're watching a YouTube video, they know that they like can't be called out in real time, or that they're able to kind of type that comment more consciously, I think, on a YouTube video. So there's more like they can be more anonymous about it, I guess.
Anonymity.
I'm a
C anemone.
But I don't know. Am I making sense with that?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, totally. And I think the reason for that is because there's another side of it too, which is that when they're leaving a comment on a video, they're very much alone. Like the person they're watching is in the past. The other people who have commented already are in the past. Whereas in the stream, they leave a comment and there are people actively chatting and there's the streamer there live. It's like they're in this room of people shouting obscenities into the void.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so like that probably scares away people from doing that kind of thing more often. But it still doesn't stop. Like there's always going to be people that come in and just like dump on you for whatever reason, like harassers and things like that. That's always a thing. That's always going to be a thing. And that kind of stuff you just ban. And it's
I like what
easy.
you said, Josh, how like you have all these other people that are saying positive things and are supporting you, and like it's better just to focus on that rather than like the one who might not even think it. They might just be trying to get a reaction, or they think they're funny, or whatever reason people are rude on the internet.
Anytime that I know that I've gone in a direction that isn't suitable for my audience, or maybe even for me, and I don't even realize it, is when, like I said earlier, like somebody who has watched for a long time says something that's like, maybe this isn't the direction that you want to go, and then you start thinking about it a little bit more. And those are the really valuable criticisms that I do look at, and everything else is just not even worth thinking about.
Yeah.
If it's mean, there's no reason to even think about it anymore.
Yeah, and that is a skill. Like that is a learned skill, because it's very, very easy, especially for me, to just pick up on the negative. And I think naturally, like mental health topics aside, like I think all of us really focus on the negative feedback. We don't necessarily focus too much on the positive feedback. On the flip side, it's very easy to give negative feedback. I think a lot of people are more often likely to provide negative feedback than they are to provide positive feedback. Like,
true.
When you go to Best Buy and you buy something and they're like, fill out our survey, and you had a really good time there. So you actually just don't fill out the survey. But if you had a negative experience at that Best Buy, you're going to fill out the survey.
Yeah.
So
that's so true.
And it's because we need things to be fixed for us. Like somehow, I guess, like if I write a comment on somebody's video and say like, you should have fixed like this part of your person, like you shouldn't have talked about this, or actually, I think especially for Let's Plays, and Josh, like you might have seen a lot of this yourself, is that you might see a lot of comments on like a blind Let's Play where people are telling you what to do or where to go, and it's like, bruh, this was like 5 days ago.
Oh no, it's much worse than that, Andrew. It's like, bro, I did this 10 years ago. What are you talking about? I don't even know what's happening in this video.
That was funny.
But yeah, no, I still get comments on like 10-year-old Let's Plays that are like, hey, you did this wrong, idiot. I'm sorry, I don't time travel. I can't fix that now.
That's really funny.
Yeah, I feel like that happens a lot on Let's Plays in particular, where like, I don't know if it's something that came about because of streaming, because you do get that real time, like, oh, hey, like, you should go here, right? Or, hey, this part's coming up. So maybe they kind of like internalize that and then they bring it to YouTube because they're just kind of like, well, Josh hasn't put up the next episode yet, even though he recorded this in bulk like a week and a half ago. It's like he's already past that part, but you have to go through.
Oh, that's the worst feeling.
You have to still go through like 5 more episodes before.
Doing a bulk recording, and then you put out the first of like 5 videos and you screwed up something that you then screw up every single video for the next 5 videos, and that nobody's good. Oh my god. The best part, like, that's why you got to cultivate an audience that like can make fun of that and not like be mean spirited.
Yeah.
And then just kind of play into it. Like that's what I try to do if it comes to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Just play it off, turn it into comedy.
So moving on a little bit, I started talking about this when it comes to like, what does my burnout look like in particular? And some of the things that I think my number one, and probably for other people, especially if there are other like smaller YouTubers or streamers out there, is getting lost in the numbers. Again, I kind of want to open up the floor and see like, what does that mean to you guys? And like, do you agree that? So basically, the way that I see it is that a lot of people kind of say like, oh, you know, you're trying to do this in order to be popular, or like you're doing this for the wrong reasons if you're like looking too much at analytics, or you're doing this for like, you know, some people can feel bad about not getting like that positive feedback or getting like big numbers on a video or a tweet, but then they're kind of like, well, you shouldn't focus on that, you should focus on the craft. And to one degree you can believe in that, but to another degree it's kind of like, well, if all I wanted to do was just play video games, I can just play video games, you know what I mean? So what does that phrase mean to you, and do you agree with it, or do you like, how do you feel about that?
Well, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because the numbers tell a story, and the story was your video X, Y, and Z to get to an audience. And it can tell you a lot about what maybe needs to change, or especially on YouTube, like it gives you like audience retention and stuff, and you can see like where people dropped off of your video or whatever, and you can go to that part of the video and see like, hey, I said this thing and it didn't resonate with people, or this part of the video was edited in a slow way. So it can be helpful in that respect. Yeah. But on the mental health side of it, it has this like deteriorating effect of like, you just get so focused on the thing. And admittedly, I still look at the numbers way too often. And I have had to like train, again, a mindset shift, had to train my mind to like not care as much and just like look at it more of as an objective thing. That is more of like a tool rather than like, oh, this is a reflection of myself, because it's not a reflection of yourself. It's not a reflection of what you made as much it is a reflection of what people are interested in or what the algorithm is currently doing. And so I think that, yeah, you kind of need to look at the numbers sometimes if you want to take it seriously and do it as a full-time job. If that's a thing that you really are focused on doing, that is something that like you have to look at the numbers sometimes. But looking at them constantly every day, several times a day, is probably bad and will probably negatively affect mental health. And, you know, limiting your exposure to that can help, or changing your mindset on it can help. I've chosen the mindset shift route because I can't stop myself from refreshing my YouTube studio when a new video comes out.
Yeah.
Mostly looking for new comments, but when you look at the YouTube Studio app and you look for new comments, you got all the numbers right there. So it's not great, and it's a lot harder to do it that way, but again, it's a double-edged sword. You need to use it as a tool rather than a reflection of yourself.
Yeah, I think that... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Andrew.
I mean, I was just going to say, like, the analytics tool is supposed to be somewhat helpful, right? It's supposed to kind of give you the analysis you need in order for your, like, next potential video, or, like, direct... Risk?
He pounced on you.
Frisk.
It's because he likes me. I assume.
I want to pet Frisk.
I want to see Frisk. Next time I go to Philly, I'm coming to visit the cat.
Yes, he would love to meet you.
Yeah.
I might be coming to Philly soon.
Oh, you're gonna pet the cat before me? That's not fair.
I might pet the cat.
Oh man.
I might pet Frisk, if I'm allowed.
Nintendo on a Cubone says, "Hello, cat." Yeah, I think the thing is like, you get kind of too lost in, like, it becomes almost this addictive feedback. Like, you start to crave the feedback, and like, it then becomes that whole thing of whether or not you did a good job based on these like numbers that again, you only have so much control over. The analytics is like there to help you. But if I ever, usually when I ask most content creators, like, how do you deal with like the analytics side of things, or how do you like know what to do, or do you plan your videos in any certain way? A lot of them are just like, nah, I don't even know what this is about. Like they somehow were able to cultivate their audience, usually through luck. Like sometimes it just happens that way. And a lot of content creators, when I ask them, especially when I do the Let's Talk podcast, they're just kind of like, I don't know how like that happened. Like, I don't know why this video popped off and the others just didn't.
Yeah, there is something to be said for just doing stuff.
Yeah. And honestly, it just comes down to this thing where it's like, if you just want to create, just create. And if you didn't enjoy making it and you definitely didn't get any feedback from it, probably don't do it again. And if you did enjoy making it, and even if it didn't get a lot of feedback, probably do it again because you enjoyed it, right? Like, to a degree. But I think it's also different from the perspective of me, who's kind of like, I would say like I'm a part-time, because this is not my source of income, right? Like, I make money? Yes. Did it take me 10 years to do that? Yes. But like it's not my main source of income. So if my numbers don't pop off, or if like I don't get a lot of like financial feedback, I guess, or if my view count's not super high, it doesn't hurt me. But I feel like for full-time streamers, especially when they see that dip that they can't explain, like that can be really devastating.
I agree with everything that both of you said. Actually, I don't believe people when they say I don't care about the numbers, because you wouldn't be doing this if you didn't care about the numbers. I think everybody who makes content wants to reach as many people as they can with their content. But I think you can also say, I don't let the low numbers get me down, and that can also be true. But I think you still care about them a little bit. I think it can be really disappointing to put your everything into it and have a much smaller turnout than what you want or expected. And I think when you say don't care about the numbers, that doesn't mean don't care about the numbers. That means don't let it get you down, which can be really hard to do. But like you said, I think it was Andrew said it, that, you know, you I forget which one of you said it. You could just be streaming to, you know, your friends on like a private Discord channel, or not even be streaming at all if you didn't care about the numbers. Doesn't mean that, like, you know, the numbers are everything to you. You can still be doing it primarily because you want to have a good time or you want to reach a certain goal. But I think everybody cares about it at least a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, like, I didn't have to stream this conversation, right? Like, I could have just been like, hey, do you guys just want to like chat for a bit? But I think ultimately...
And you can do that too.
I can do that. Well, hold on. Like, maybe we...
Shut it down.
All right. Sorry, Chad. We got to go. I'll see you. This is going to be an all frisk conversation. We're just going to talk about your cat.
It is also very easy to get like way too invested in it and have that be the only thing you care about. And then I feel like at that point, like, it can get you down, and it makes it harder for you to kind of see the bigger picture. And I think there definitely needs to be a healthy balance of, well, what am I doing that's reaching as many people as I can, but not compromising, you know, what I want to be doing or what makes me happy.
Yeah, I mean, a large part of why I moved this podcast to a streaming format was because I could, whether or not this gets like a ton of views or it gets like few views, I enjoy talking with people. That's the main thing that I really, which, you know, as an introvert goes against my entire code of ethics. But like, I enjoy doing these conversations. I enjoy talking to people who also enjoy video games or are also part of this culture. That I, you know, like I said, I don't have to stream it, but streaming it allows me to do it in a way where I don't have to do a ton of editing, and I don't have to put in, you know, I do put in some effort. Like, you know, I'm doing all these crazy transitions and, you know, slides and things and animations. Like, that took time to do. You know, I'm just going through them. The audio people can't hear what the hell I'm doing, but, you know, it's there. And, but I can do all that without having to edit anything. I mainly just edit the audio for the Spotify or Apple podcast version. And whether or not it gets a crap ton of views, I didn't invest too much into it for each additional episode. Maybe the first time, sure. But like, I'm able to do something that I enjoy. It doesn't take a lot of effort over time. And so like, it allows me to not care too much about the numbers in some ways.
I think that's
Go ahead, Josh.
Go up. Okay.
Y'all owe me a Coke.
I'll listen. I'll get you both a Coke. It's fine. I think that this is a great approach, and I think that taking the part of it that you like the best and then streamlining the rest of it is the way to go.
Yeah.
I was also going to say that, if I feel like I was expecting, a large turnout to a stream and maybe it's lower than my typical average, I try to look at it as like, well, imagine that many viewers in the room with me here right now. Like, I don't know that many people in like real life, quote unquote, that would want to see anything that I'm doing. Like, and I feel like just kind of looking at it from a different angle, it's like, okay, so yes, that is like less of a turnout than what I usually get. But man, that's still a lot of people who care about what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. Yes.
That's a lot
Totally
of
agree.
people, Sniper says.
That's a great way to frame it.
Imagining them in the room, which can be kind of scary, but it is
Like,
a good way that like that many people care enough to be there.
I had that realization after attending a PAX panel, like for the first time, and I was like, oh wait a minute, this is whatever 500 people look like in a room, and if I've got 500 views on a video, this is what that looks like visually. And it's like, whoa, and that's a lot. Like, and it's loud and people are excited in those PAX panels sometimes, and it's like, oh, that's what it looks like visually. You just see the little tiny itty bitty number on the screen and it's there, and it's like, oh, well, this is 5 and zeros, and this is, and it's just like, you never know until you visually see it like that. So that's a great way to frame it.
I think a lot of it is about perspective for sure.
Ben Mason in chat says Rebecca's apartment would be violating so many safety codes with that many people.
Yeah.
That's why you have to invite them in virtually.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that, even though I don't get like an insane number of concurrent viewers per like stream, I think because of the amount that, just because I kept going and didn't quit, I've been seeing like a bigger turnout. I've been seeing returning people. I think that's the thing that like gives me the most energy back, is like when I see somebody come back, and especially over time, like I know certain viewers just by name, and some of them are in this stream right now. But like when I'm streaming on Twitch, it's just kind of like I love just seeing people come back and building that like relationship. Even though it is parasocial, like to a degree, right? Like I'm not going to invite them to dinner, but like just this idea that like we all just kind of hang out for a couple hours. Like I think that's why I like my Saturday streams a lot, is because I bring my friends over, we sit on the couch, and then everyone in chat is like an extra person, like to your metaphor, like is an extra person sitting in the room and just chatting with us, and while we play video games and just be dumb for a couple hours.
Yeah, that's a great way to view it. I'm low-key jealous of your couch setup. I'm building one right here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have a couch set up so I can invite people onto my stream easy.
I look, half of this stuff is just Elgato, the other half is IKEA.
Yes. Same.
Yeah. Streaming by IKEA.
They actually
sponsorship.
They do. They have gamer desks.
When I was there getting this little tiny couch, they had like the gamer desk with all the gamer shit set up, and it's like,
and they had the head thing
RGB.
too.
Yeah,
they have like a light up head that you can put your headphones on.
Yes!
And I kind of want it,
dude. So they know.
Yeah, no. Part of what makes this work is like a 32-foot USB extension with a repeater built in. So that goes actually like around oh no, wait, that's my actual door. It like goes into the closet and around into the PC. So
Wow.
Should imagine this with the MacBook. It was chugging butt.
I'm just gonna take this setup. I'm gonna
Just
and put it on that wall.
take this setup and move it over here. A couple other things. I think one of the things that we talk about the numbers because we talk about imposter syndrome a lot. And originally I wasn't going to talk about this, but I think it fits. Just when it comes to it's very easy to compare oneself against everybody else in the ecosystem. People who either have been doing this for a really long time, or maybe people who have been doing this just as long as you have. And you can, like, it's so hard not to, like, compare your statistics or your, like, success with other, like, it makes you even feel lesser about your own successes if you focus too much on comparing it to somebody else's. Have you guys had experience with that before?
Yes.
And what did that look like?
Yes.
I mean, I definitely have in all of the areas that I create content, but the first thing that I thought of when you started talking about this is my writing at Twinfinite, because I have huge imposter syndrome with that, because I've always liked writing, but I feel like all of that was like a complete accident, because way back in like 2019 or 18 or whatever it was, I applied for that position to be a contributor at Twinfinite, just like randomly when I was having a bad day at work, and I was like fantasizing about having any other job that like I could just do writing and stuff. So I like Googled like game journalist jobs or jobs in game writing or whatever, and that popped up, and I applied, and like for some reason I got it, even though I had zero qualifications or zero experience. And like, throughout the years of working there, like I've worked with some really awesome people who like have had like years of experience with, games writing, or, went to school for journalism, and have all of these qualifications that I don't have. And, I've watched people who are better than me get laid off instead of me, people who like don't get as many views, like even though they write better content than I do. And it's like I almost feel like it's kind of the opposite of what you just said. Like sometimes I don't know why I'm successful, because I shouldn't be.
I mean, that's definitely that imposter
Form of
syndrome.
imposter
Yeah.
for sure.
It really is. And like I know I need to like give myself credit, like I work hard too, just because I don't have the same qualifications doesn't mean I'm not qualified, if that makes sense.
No, exactly. It's just like you kind of came into that position because you gave it a shot, and even though there may be people, and I think that goes in pretty much anything that we do. Like you can have a job, like a job, and you see all these other people, and you kind of see their qualifications, and you start comparing yourself to them, and whether they're doing better or worse than you, it becomes like, I would even say it's even more toxic in that space, because like, especially in the corporate world, that becomes like your livelihood. And so your ability to do better or worse than other people is like much more devastating. But I think in the creative space, for me, one of the things that can be a negative influence is when you kind of are like, I've said it a couple of times, I'll say it again. I've been doing content since 2012. Does anybody know that? Probably not. My solo channel itself was started in like 2013, 2014. And I didn't start doing a lot of the stuff that people know me better for since like 5 years ago. So halfway through, I started doing these podcasts, and that's what people know me for now. But I've been making content for like 10 years. So when you kind of see like people having completely varying degrees of success, like it's very hard not to be like, well, what did they do right that I did wrong? Like people who, there are so many streamers that started in 2020, and a lot of them just like skyrocketed to success. and some of that I feel is not like on my inabilities, and I don't know whether or not it's part of their abilities. I think it's obviously going to be a combination of their abilities to facilitate and foster an environment, and
There's
I think
so many factors that
and
There's so many.
and again, it also comes down to luck. Like the algorithm just doesn't make any sense to us.
There's a bit of luck in it, and I think that luck. Here's the thing about luck, though.
Yeah.
This is the important thing about luck, is that you can shift that luck in your favor with the right mindset and some hard work and a combination of things that builds up what luck looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always going to be that like element, that random element to it, but I think that's important to take away from the luck element, is that it's not there's no, I don't know that there's necessarily such a thing as perfect luck that just exists and then people just get a thing. Maybe it does. I don't know.
There's no formula. Like you can do everything right but still not see the results.
Right.
Or you could,
do-
see results when, like, kind of going back to what you said with like the content that you don't expect to blow up, like, is sometimes the
Right.
one that does, because you didn't put as much effort in one thing as much as you did the other, but for some reason that's the content that blows up. Like, there's no perfect formula for success, and you only have control over so many of the factors.
Right. And I think that the element of luck is what's left over after you've done your best.
Yeah.
And there was something else I was going to say and I forgot. So carry on.
Sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good. No.
Quick tangent, if you don't mind. I don't want to stray too far away from the content creation thing, but when you say imposter syndrome, like, the biggest imposter syndrome I've ever experienced, and still experience to this day, is my full-time job as a school counselor. It's like, I feel like, who gave me the authority to be in charge of like a classroom full of children, like, and I'm supposed to be the one that is like keeping them safe and like learning, and like, I don't feel like I'm a real adult. Like, what? I'm almost 30. I'm almost 30, and like, it's like, you want me, like, basically a child, to take care of like this room full of kids and be the one. It's like a kid will get hurt or something, or like need something, I'll be like, oh shit, we need to find an adult. It's like, oh wait, I'm the adult.
Yeah.
It's the world's best kept secret, is that all adults are just grown children trying to figure it out still.
And it's like, who put me in charge of this? Who thought I could do this?
Like, when you're a kid, you look up to adults and you're like, oh, this person is
They know everything.
They know everything. They got it. They can handle it. And inside them, they're like, oh God, can I handle this thing? I'm here now. I'm the adult. I must handle this thing.
Well, like, even worse is that you expect your adult to, like, the adult mindset to just kind of happen like a graduation ceremony. Like, you take the diploma and you're just like, I know what a mortgage is now. Like, and part of that is that, like,
anything about a mortgage, honestly.
I own a house and I have no clue. Seriously,
so
it's just like,
I know that's phrased from the content creation, but like, that's like the mindset. It's like,
yeah.
And I feel like that can translate over to content creation, like the Twitch streaming. And it's like, I have found myself in a situation where now there's an audience in front of me, and it's like, wait, like, I have a responsibility in that sense to like meet their expectations.
Yeah.
Like, wait, how do I do that? Nobody taught me how to do this.
As recently as maybe 2021 or 2020, I've felt like major imposter syndrome. Just like in both directions, like feeling like I'm surrounded by creators who are just wildly successful, and I'm like jealous of their consistency and jealous of their creativity sometimes, and up and coming streamers who are like really trying to make it work, and doing a lot of effort and putting a lot of effort in, and not quite seeing the results that they're looking for. And I'm just like, I feel like kind of in the middle of these two dynamics, and I've had these moments where I come on stream and I'll have a guest on who is maybe a creator that I look up to, or somebody that I really admire. And I genuinely get so nervous and start breaking down. Like, there was one stream that I did I mean, shoot, with Emil Chugga Conroy, who I've known he's like one of my best friends, and I've known him for a very long time. And he would come onto my stream in like 2020, and I would genuinely break down out of nervousness to the point where I had to stop the stream. Like it was that bad. And now it's as recent as 2020. So like it's always a little bit there. You know? I don't know that it fully, I mean, again, just like a mindset shift, but like I think that we all kind of experience that to some degree.
Yeah, I mean, I have gotten so used to it now because I've done all these things where I definitely feel some nervousness because I want to be like to some degree professional, right? Like I want to try to start things on time. I want to make sure that everyone has all the information that they need. I don't want people to be like surprised by anything. Like I try to make it like a hospitable environment, but even in the past, like I was just kind of like hanging by the seat of my pants and how I was trying to get all this stuff done. And I like, even now I still do, but I'm much more relaxed about it. Like 5 years later, I'm way more like, you know, I can think about all the negative things after the stream's over, but like, you know, at least during the stream, it's a lot of, I think that was a skill that I had to like, just get muscle. Like, I had to build that muscle of just like, it is so crazy to me that I'm sitting here now and having these conversations with people who are far like better and cooler, you know.
They're not better and cooler though. That's
true.
like the mindset. It's like you think that way, but like there's a reason why they said yes to go on your stream, or there's a reason why they're collaborating with you because they see value in you.
And I appreciate that.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
But you're right though, like it's so like easy to fall into that, like, oh my god, you know, being starstruck or being like, oh my god, like they're so much better than me, but like there's a reason why you're there.
Well, and it's also like, you know, when I first started doing this, I legit remember shaking talking to, so I had like an opportunity to like during a TRG meetup basically, and was like, that was how I got the first couple of guests onto the Let's Talk stuff. But nowadays, yeah, and back then, I literally was just so nervous because I didn't, you know, the worst thing they could do is say no, but like, there are also worse things that could technically happen.
Yeah. Oh, never mind. I was gonna make a joke about like,
I could piss my pants or anyway. Accidentally murder them while trying to ask something.
They could tweet about, wow, how awful was Laughingboy's stream.
Oh,
exactly.
So stupid.
So
then you don't
dumb.
Work with those people anyway, to be honest.
But well, like, nobody does that.
And you know what? Like the fact of the matter is that what has really helped more has been some of the more negative experiences. And when I say negative, I don't mean like somebody, I don't think I've ever had somebody be like an absolute jerk to me. But when I say negative experiences, it's, you know, like more often than not, there are just people that you can never either get a hold of, or they are just not interested, or they're not like, that's just not their thing. And so getting the negative feedback over and over again, and people like the rejections, and like I said, none of them have been mean or awful, right? But getting those experiences has helped me because, again, you kind of get to that point where it's like, well, what's the worst that could happen? Like they're probably, maybe they're not available. Maybe it's just not their thing. Maybe they don't do this. And
you ever like read way too much into like somebody's reply?
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, and you think, oh my god, like they're making an excuse, or, you know, they don't really, I don't know. I overanalyze all the time.
I do too.
Yeah.
I hate that I do that sometimes.
I mean, really, it's the no responses that hurt the most, you know, because you just don't know. You don't have that confirmation.
You're just kind of left hanging.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to our final talking points. We've talked a lot about the things that hurt us. Let's talk more about the things that either help us maintain or help us get better. And I kind of wanted to start off with just like, what I do want to preface this by kind of stating that like no technique ever works for anyone, and I don't mean this to be like a session where we teach people like, yes, this is how this works, and if this works for me, this will obviously work for you. But I wanted to get some ideas, like how do you guys like manage or protect your mental health? So, I can even start with this one. I mean, for me, I think what has helped me, and I do talk to a professional once a week, and what has helped me is some of the questions that they really ask. So when for example, we talk about people who, don't give you that response back, right? And you're just kind of like, oh, what if I offended them? Or, what if they hate me? Or what if I'm bothering them? And, the real question is like, did they say you were bothering them?
Mm-hmm.
Did they do they hate you? Did they tell you that? Like, basically it's like, take a step back. What are the facts around the situation? I messaged this person and they didn't respond. That's it.
I think of it that way. And also like, what if they do? They're one person. They're not any better than anyone else. It's like, think of all the people who do want to, work with you or talk to you. And like, that one person is just a person.
I don't think that everyone's gonna. No, not everyone's gonna click with everyone else. Like that's just not how it works.
Yep.
And there's always gonna be a case where people just don't. Their personalities clash a little bit, and it doesn't quite work for either of them to be associated with each other.
Yeah.
And that can happen. So long as it doesn't turn negative, because sometimes that can just like blow up in your face. But I think that like. Man. So the question of like, what do we do to protect your mental health during all this stuff has changed so much for me over the years. Like at different points in my life, I've used different resources to help manage that stuff. Like, I went through some pretty major events in 2019 that was like really traumatic, and I ended up going and trying therapy like for the first time since I was a kid. When I tried that as a kid, they were just like, it wasn't working for me at the time, and I was kind of afraid to go back and talk to anybody about it. But it really helped.
Yeah.
And then, fast forward to a little bit later, maybe like early 2020, late 2019, I would have started, like meditation and just like mindfulness and centering yourself, and that kind of thing has helped a lot. And I know these are all very general, like therapy is a pretty obvious one, and meditation even is pretty obvious, but like, I can't stress how much that genuinely all helped me during some really tough stuff.
Yeah.
And, I think that's one way. I'm sure there's other things I'll think about here in a minute, but
I do a lot of things for my mental health. I did the therapy too. I'm on medication for anxiety and depression. I make sure that I talk to my mom every day because she helps me so much. My cat is a really good like comfort for me when I'm feeling stressed out about something. I write in a journal, like a daily mental health journal. When I have thoughts, I try to get outside and take walks because and it's like so stupid, but like being outside and like getting sunshine and getting movement actually works. And I hate that it works, but it actually does.
It does.
It does.
I try to do that. And then just like talking to friends and like keeping everything in perspective and I think good friends will listen, and just talking about it with somebody takes a lot off your shoulders. Like they're like bottling things up is the worst thing you could do.
I did that for years. I think that was why I was going through some tough stuff in 2019.
Yeah.
I just made years and years and years of bottling stuff up and just letting it eat at you. It's not great.
Yeah.
And my mental health is so bad when I don't get enough sleep. Like,
yes.
I need to remember to actually get enough sleep. Like, don't stay up until 2 a.m. editing videos after you've done a 5-hour stream. Not calling out anybody in particular, but it's just general life advice. And then you have to wake up for work the next day. No, but like, I mean, sleep is important and eating healthy and exercising. Like, I hate that all of that stuff is so true because that's like the stereotypical advice, but like,
Yeah.
it works.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, I definitely have some toxic traits in there too. I know that like venting is a short-term help. And I wish I didn't do that quite as much, but I think what has generally helped me is just walking away. Like, I think that's the one thing that I've done a lot in order to like it. There's a little bit of walking away. There's a little bit of self-advocation, right? It's not good to have like an ego, but I think you have to admit that like the stuff that you make is good. Like the thing that you are doing is good, especially if you are getting at least some feedback on that. And that can be different for anybody. Like the fact that you are able to make something is amazing. The fact that you are able to like go out, and for me, like even if I don't get like a million views, I try to remember that, especially for me in my situation, is that there are so many things that I've been able to do as a result of this thing that I'm doing, whether it's, you know, amazingly successful or not. And the fact that I've been able to like meet so many new people and like actually build some kind of community for myself has been like, I'm extremely grateful for that. So it's tough to remember those things during the moments where you're feeling the lowest, but I think that's why it's easy for me, like remembering that you can walk away from something when it's getting too much. Yeah. Remembering that you can always come back to it later. Like as a kid, I would, it kind of reminds me of like slightly off topic, but generally on topic. When you're stuck on something in a video game, and like as a kid, you just keep doing it and you keep doing it and you keep doing it and you keep doing it. And like you know how to do it, but it's just not working. And you get mad and frustrated. You're just constantly hitting a wall. And then your parents like come in, they're like, all right, knock it off, like stop playing. And you hate that. You hate that you're being taken away from this thing that you can't fix. And you do. You're finally, they grab you by the ankle, they rip you away from the console. And you don't realize how badly you need that until you come back to it and you're like, you do it the first try. Like how many times has that happened? So like there are just days where I don't feel like streaming. And when I was starting out, I had more days where I didn't feel like streaming than I did wanting to stream. I would say now that has kind of pushed in the opposite direction because I realize like the positive thing that it can be and following that opposite action. So I think like what has helped me a lot is like when my brain is saying like your stuff's not good, or like this person's stuff is way better, or like the YouTube stuff isn't working out, or like, when you're just kind of tired and you're not getting, you're telling yourself to quit, you can just kind of sit here and be like, well, what if I didn't?
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to prove to yourself too that the thing you made or did was actually good, and you have to like take a step away from it and like look at it more objectively, because in the moment it feels like, oh, this wasn't that great. Like I've come away from streams even just this month that were like, oh, that wasn't really that great. I felt like my energy was like kind of all over the place, and I didn't feel like it was very funny or people were that engaged. And then I go back and look at the VOD, just a couple of clips, and it's like, oh wait, hold on, that was funny. Like I don't remember doing or saying that was actually pretty great. So sometimes you just need to like pull yourself back from it and kind of give it a bit of a once over and like look at it from a bigger picture point of view.
And I mean, I've had so many streams where I didn't want to do it. I just had one like last week, right? I had a stream where I was gonna, I'm doing this as part of like my charity month. You can check me out at twitch.tv/LaughingboyLP. And I'm trying to do, this push to, and I'm not doing every single day content like you have been, but I think this whole month of a straight schedule every single week of 3 streams a week has been kind of that same thing for me, where I've really pushed myself to continue on with the schedule, even if there are days when I don't feel like it. And last Tuesday, I realized that, the crowd control thing wasn't going to work because the charity's not technically a part of it. I had no clue what I was going to do. I had absolutely zero idea of what I was going to do for the stream instead, because I didn't want to do the crowd control if it wasn't going to the charity, because that's what I wanted to do that month. And I legit was just like, I can't take it. I'm not going to stream. I just don't want to. And then there was just like a thought of, I've had so many times where I've told myself this, I don't want to do it. I'm too tired, or I'm too depressed or negative. But then I do it anyway because I'm stubborn, I guess. And I come away from it feeling really good. And
I find that it's really hard sometimes to start, and then once you're doing it, like, you're so glad that you did.
Yeah. And so at a point, I was just like, oh, you know what? I've been wanting to do the Super Mario RPG randomizer for a while. It's not the same. I don't know if I'm going to be able to drive donations. I'll just do it. Let's just figure it out. And because I did, this was just by chance, but like, we got rated and we made our donation goal. So if I hadn't have done that, then it's possible that wouldn't have happened. It's possible I'd still be trying to make that donation milestone. And, I came away from it feeling better that I had done it.
I think that's going back to what Josh said earlier about that luck being the extra factor. It's like, you can't plan for a raid that helps you meet your goal, but you put yourself in the position to make something like that happen.
Yeah, yes. It's like, you can't win if you don't play, basically.
You just put into words what I was trying to say earlier, and that I couldn't quite articulate, which is, you put yourself in the position for where luck can occur, and you can increase the amount of luck that comes your way if you put yourself into that position and you actually do it, because you're not gonna see that if you just idle.
You can't get the raid if you're not live.
Oh my god, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. It's you can't win if you don't play. And I think that was the thing where I just I came out of that stream being like, I'm really glad I did that. And the more times that has happened to me, the easier it becomes for me to be able to like identify, maybe there are times where I'm really not like in a position to stream. That does happen. But I think for the other times, it has become much easier over time to be able to be like, I know you're not feeling it right now. Maybe you're a little tired. Work sucked. And boy, does work suck. But just give it a shot. See what happens. Maybe something good. Like, again, it's like, maybe something good will happen. Maybe nothing will happen. But like, you won't know unless you do it. And exhibiting that opposite action gets me out of, and this is, maybe other people operate differently, but like, it helps me get out of that state of, I don't want to do anything. And even if I didn't get that raid, or even if I didn't, like, I still had fun playing that game. I still had like people talking to me in chat and keeping me company. And overall, like, I felt better after it was over. So, I think, again, like, I'll do one more anecdote, and then I think we got to call the stream, because I think we're at 2 hours for just this episode alone. For me, when I started really trying to stream back in like 2020, on my own, it was very easy for me to walk away from streaming, because I was like, I don't feel like it, or I know nothing's gonna happen. So I didn't see any growth for like years. And then in 2022, I think it was when I first moved into this house. I think it was 2021 at this point. It was 2022 because it was last year. I started finally getting, because I kept trying, like, I was very stubborn and like, I'm going to make this work one last time. And especially like, because I ran into you Rebecca. Like, because you were so like supportive during those first like initial weeks of me trying to get to that state, like I was able to get affiliate pretty quickly, and I probably wouldn't be here if like I hadn't talked to other people about my circumstance and got that help, but also because I put in the work to a degree, right? And so, again, it's just like Sniper in chat. Rebecca's the catalyst for many good things. That's very true. Agreed. Hard agree. But, to your point, to all of our points, it's just kind of like there are times when it's so easy to walk away. And it's so easy to just let yourself get engulfed by the negative thoughts and feelings. I think what helps for me is that I'm ridiculously stubborn. So I quit and then I come back. But I think if you just keep pushing, you're like not to exhaustion, but if you keep pushing yourself, and if you can find people, and it's harder for some people than others, but if you can find that supportive group and that supportive community, like that can get you very, very far. So
that is so true, and I don't know how this timeline laps up with what overlaps with what you just said, but when you had invited me to be on, I think it was the Metroid DialogBOX.
I think it was when we talked about it.
That was like such an important moment for me because that was also like a transition point in my life. Like I had just moved back to my parents' house. I was going through a really tough time, and like having that connection and collaboration, like I didn't really know you that well at the time. Like I don't even know why I said yes. Like I was going through it at the moment. But I was like so glad that I did because it just like made me feel so much better to like talk about games with somebody and like kind of bring me back into like what I needed to do. So you thanked me. I just need to thank you for that.
I mean, honestly, I kind of feel the same way because it was, what was it, 2020? And we did the games that we played for our last year. And I mean, shoot, kind of the same thing. Like I had just been through hell and back. Like 2019, like 2020, bad, the hospital and pandemic. 2019 was worse. And so it was like, I think I even came into that like not even prepared at all. And I was like, I don't have a list.
I think you were just like, I didn't play anything this year. And I was like, well, what games did you play?
Because I was going through it. But like, I don't know, that made me feel good. It felt good to be invited to a thing. And so, yeah. Andrew, you're pretty great, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
This is a good show.
Okay, I guess. Yeah, and I guess was there anything else that we didn't discuss that you felt like you wanted to get off your chests?
I love you guys.
I think it's important to, talk about this stuff and make connections and, ask for help when you need help. I feel like the community here is so supportive and willing to do a lot more than you think. And sometimes you don't need a lot. Sometimes it's just a little bit that you need.
Yeah. Well, I really do appreciate y'all being here. Like this was, it wasn't a hard discussion, but I would say it was a tough one. Like it's hard to put yourself out there to a degree, right? Like and you have to be in a space that's conducive to that in order to be able to like talk about, burnout and the negative thoughts. And I am really glad that I was able to not only just do this episode in the first place, because I've actually tried a couple of times already, but I was glad to do it with y'all. And I am glad that we were able to just kind of have this conversation. And I hope that for all of y'all who are sitting here lurking or watching in chat, anybody who's listening to this podcast on Spotify, like I hope y'all got something from this, like that it is okay it's okay to not be okay. I have the shirt upstairs from Hope for the Day. But also like we should talk about this more often. Like it's something that's been kind of a secret that, you know, content creators are people too. You know,
It's a way more common thing than you think, and I feel like nobody wants to admit if it's happening to them.
Yeah,
But it happens a lot.
it happens a lot.
And it's okay that it happens as long as you are prepared to deal with it in healthy ways.
Exactly.
I like talking about this stuff because it actively helps me also to verbalize some of this stuff and like even to just like reinforce things that I already knew. It just helps to talk about it. It helps me. So this is great. I will talk about this kind of stuff anytime.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll get to do like some more. I think many of the topics, you know, it's not like I can do too much of a part 2, but I think what it would be nice was just to, you know, I hope this opens up the door for future potential conversations about what it is to be a content creator or somebody on social media, or whether you do this for a job or you don't. And just, I think we're all affected by the same things, regardless of how we came into this space and what we do in it. Yeah, I do hope that, you know, and I hope that y'all listening in chat, like, I hope this inspires everybody to feel like, you know, they're not alone in that feeling, whatever that they are feeling. It does happen to a lot of us, big or small. So, and, you know, that wraps up for tonight's episode. So I just want to say, again, big thank you to all of you who are here to talk with me. Let's take a quick turn around the room and just let everyone know where we can find you and what you guys are up to. We can start with you, Rebecca.
Oh, yes. So you can find me at Forest Minish on Twitter and Twitch is where I mostly do stuff. I just want to thank you for choosing me to come on and talk about this, because it also is an important topic to me, and it does help me too, just like how Josh said. Yeah, so I'm playing Zelda, so what I'm up to.
And Josh, how about you?
Yeah, so you can find me at Josh Jepson on primarily Twitter and Twitch and YouTube. I also do the vlog thing now too, which is also Josh Jepson, but backwards. It's Jepson Josh. It's not confusing at all, I promise. And I'm also playing Zelda. I mean, not right now, but I will be very soon. Tomorrow, this weekend, definitely playing a lot of Zelda.
And you are kicking butt with the Everyday May content. Y'all need to go check it out.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I am doing a lot, but it's worth it because I have historically been very, like, passive about it. So I want to push myself and put a lot more effort into it. So
just keep taking care of yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
I will.
No, I've been enjoying that. They've been really fun videos to watch, and also it's like kind of helping me learn, because I've been doing the streams and things for a long time, but like trying to do stuff that involves camera work, not used to it.
That's exactly why I'm doing it, because I also need practice. So
yeah,
like it's all a practice effort for me. So, and it's been fun to try some different things out. Anyway, Thank you. I don't want to talk about myself anymore.
Well, I'll go next. If you want to find me in the podcast, you can subscribe to the channel at youtube.com/laughingboylp and watch the video version of this podcast live, or you can catch the VODs. We also include a special Q&A section for those of you who turn into the stream live, or, watch the VODs. You just don't get it if you're on Spotify. But you can also find the audio-only version of this podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for DialogBOX, all one word. So come back next month for more video game table talking. But until then, this has been another fantastic episode of DialogBOX. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
I have to now hit the end. Oh, wait. Oh, I didn't hit the end button. Anyway, good night.